And joining us right now, the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line from one of your favorite publications, one of your favorite writers, a man that I was unsure of whether or not he lost his mind just a couple of days ago. We'll check in with him right now. From PhillyVoice.com, the great Jimmy Kempski. What's up, Jimmy?
How are you, man? I'm great.
Okay, good, because I saw people starting to go back and forth. Like, I was reading your Twitter, and I saw the back and forth you were having in my mind with somebody.
Right.
About Carson Wentz. And I was like, man, this guy's a jerk. What the hell? And then I see it's just you arguing with yourself. Like,
anytime I mention Carson Wentz's name in any form, that is basically the conversation that ensues. So I just figured I'd have that conversation, get it out of the way before actually having it with the people that are going to respond on Twitter. So
gotcha.
That's what all was about. That's what that was all about.
I thought if something was going to cause an Eagles writer to lose their mind, it would be like Nick Foles possibly the Eagles having interest in Nick Foles possibly returning as a backup quarterback here in Philadelphia. I thought that would be the thing to tip the scales.
No, it was just the claiming of Jimmy Moreland, who was released by the Texans, and I just happened to mention that Jimmy Moreland had picked off Carson Wentz week 1 during the 2020 season. Actually, that game was going well for the Eagles until he picked them off, and that's sort of when the season went downhill very quickly.
Kerplunk after that. I do want to get into a couple of things that took place today, but of course, people need to be following the great Jimmy Kempski if they're not already on PhillyVoice.com, as well as the old Twitterverse at Jimmy Kempski. And also check out his one of his latest stories, one of your latest stories, Jimmy. Eagles player review, this one on A.J. Brown. Just, I know what jumped out to a lot of people, aside from just the talent in general, a different body, a different build for wide receiver, a physical wide receiver that he have added in A.J. Brown.
Yeah, he's a nice compliment to what they already have. It's an element to their wide receiver room that they didn't already have. He's 6'1", he's 220, and he's a yards after catch machine, really. And they don't have that guy in the wide receiver position. They have a smooth, route running Devontae Smith. They have a speed guy in Quez Watkins, and now they have this guy to sort of complete that trio to go along with Dallas Goedert, who is arguably borderline top 5 type of tight end. So in my opinion, this is the best trio of wide receivers that they have had in over a decade. And then of course you throw Goddard in there too, and they have a chance to be something special. The offensive line, arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. It's all right there for Jalen Hurts. It's all there. Like Howie Roseman, credit to where it's due. I mean, he put together a roster that should, help Jalen Hurts succeed. So it's sort of all in front of him there, and he's got a great chance to do something special with this team in 2022.
All right, so he's got a great chance. We've been following him through the offseason, apparently working out with Tom House and getting things done that way, and working on his accuracy and all the working out with A.J. Brown and everybody. What's your confidence level, Jimmy Kempski, that Jalen Hurts will be able to put together? What's your confidence level that at the end of this season we'll look at Jalen Hurts and go, wow, all right, let's see what more this guy has to offer.
So, I mean, we all sort of know what he's about at this point. He's got the intangibles. He's smart. Everyone respects him. He's a leader in the locker room. You can be an amateur. I mean, you can walk in and watch your first football game ever, and you can see that he can make plays with his legs. The concern is just his general throwing ability. Like his arm strength is fine. It's not a detriment. It's not a plus trait for him. But the accuracy, it's troublesome. And
I'm for the record, I'm right there with you. People that are talking about the arm strength, I'm like, that's not even accuracy all the way for him.
And it's not even so much like completion percentage or anything like that, or like is he completing the pass or is he not completing the pass? It's also giving your receivers the opportunity to get yards after the catch. So putting the ball where they can get it and go, as opposed to throwing it a little bit behind, slowing them up, and they get tackled right away. Things like that. So it's the biggest deficiency in his game. There's some other minor quibbles that you can have with him, reading the field. I think his inaccuracy has also led to him being tentative, throwing the ball in certain situations. Like there was the one, big example during the playoffs against the Buccaneers. You see Quez Watkins running, deep down the field, wide open. You can kind of see that Hurts can see that too, and he just didn't pull the trigger. So, we'll see. Another great point, by the way, as far as the A.J. Brown acquisition. This was from Ben Solak of The Ringer, so this isn't my original thought. I'm kind of stealing this here. But he made the point that, A.J. Brown lives in the middle of the field. That's where he, it's his bread and butter is in the middle of the field, in the intermediate part of the field. And that's a part of the field that Jalen Hurts didn't like to throw to in 2021. So the addition of A.J. Brown will be sort of a testing ground of sorts to see if, Hurts can make those throws in the middle of the field that he was, sort of shy about making in 2021. So it'll be interesting to see, how this wide receiver trio comes in and sort of how they complement each other. And then also how Hurts is able to maximize their talents.
Now, one of the other storylines to come out of, by the time we air this, yesterday's press conferences was Jonathan Gannon talking about possibly a 3-4 defense, 4-3 space. Like, what are you expecting to see when it comes to all the additions? We talked about the offensive side of the football, all the additions on the defensive side of the football. Are we going to see major changes here?
They're going to show a lot of different fronts, I think. You're going to see some 4-man fronts. You're going to see some odd-man fronts, whether they're 3 or 5-man fronts. But you can see the acquisitions they made during this offseason. They're guys that sort of fit a 3-4 better than they fit a 4-3, like Hassan Reddick initially on the edge. Certainly Jordan Davis is a guy that fits a 3-4 better than he fits a 4-3. So we'll see. I mean, it's during training camp, they won't be able to hide it. They're kind of, guarded about, giving too much away at this time of year, which whatever, like teams are going to know what you're doing by the time the season rolls around. Like, come on, let's just tell us what you're doing. All right.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, Jimmy, they grew the big hedges around the NovaCare complex. That was an Andy Reid thing. Nobody knows. Anyway,
But yeah, so I do think that that you are going to see some more odd man fronts. It just makes sense. And, I think the other giveaway too is, they added not a position, but a positional coach. So they had, a regular defensive line coach. They had a regular linebackers coach. And then they added a new coaching position which is headed up by Jeremiah Washburn for basically edge rushers, which didn't exist previously. And is something that sort of does exist with teams that run a lot more, odd man 3-4 fronts.
You talked about best wide receiving core in like a decade for the Eagles and throwing in Dallas Goedert. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, we're looking at a secondary, especially with Darius Slay and now bringing in Bradbury, where this team's looking pretty good all of a sudden in that secondary spot. You already have Avonte Maddox in the nickel corner spot as well, so we can't forget him. And I think he's a pretty damn good nickel corner. What do you think the future holds for this defensive secondary?
Yeah, Darius Slay had a great year last year. I mean, you look at the 3 games where he made big plays against the Saints, Panthers, and Broncos. If he doesn't make the big plays in those games, they might not go to the playoffs. They might not win 1 or 2 of those games, and then they're not playing in January. So he's obviously a big time playmaker. And then Bradbury's a good solid corner, and he's 6'1", he's over 200 pounds, so he's a bigger guy. I think if the Eagles want to have Slay trail, sort of the faster or the savvy route running guys, he can do that, and then they'll probably allow Bradbury to follow like the bigger receivers. But yeah, that's a very good duo on the outside of corner. And then Avonte Maddox is a good slot corner. And then you have all these other guys that they added during the season last year and before the season last year, like Zach McPherson, Tay Gowan, Kerry Vincent, Mac McCain, blah, 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 Josiah Scott. Right on the they just added another guy yesterday. So they have all these other really young corners that they can kind of develop in the background while you have 3 quality starters in the game. So like it's a deep position right now, and it's also a talented position at the starting group. Of course, on the back end, you may be going here next, but on the back end, that's sort of the concern area at safety with Anthony Harris and Marcus Epps are the projected starters. They did try to sign Marcus Williams previously of the Saints during free agency. He chose Baltimore over the Eagles. They also, I know they had interest in Justin Reed previously of the Texans. He signed with the Chiefs. He signed with the Chiefs while the Eagles were still in on Marcus Williams. So once Williams was gone, Reed was also gone. So that was that. And they wound up not getting a safety. So there was interest. So that might be a tell that there still could be interest in adding the safety. They'll tell you up and down how much they love Anthony Harris and Marcus Epps, and that's really good. But ultimately, I do think that is a position that they are open to continue to add to.
Yeah, both great guys. They walk our dogs when we're not home. Just phenomenal
Right.
human beings. But yeah, you sniffed this one out, my friend. Yeah, so Jessie Bates.
Yeah.
And is there any chance that could still go down? A possible trade there from Cincinnati to the Eagles?
The Eagles should certainly be interested in that. Like
sure.
Jessie Bates, they franchise tagged him. He's not happy about it. The reporting is that he's you're not going to play on the franchise tag this year. We'll see how that goes. The Bengals are for a team that just went to the Super Bowl. It's kind of weird to talk badly about them, but they're notoriously cheap franchise. So kind of unpredictable. We'll see what happens with Jessie Bates and his continued unhappiness or whatever as sort of the offseason drags on. But yeah, if the Eagles, were to have interest in a guy like him, they have ammo. I don't think you're going to see them trade either of the first round picks that they have in 2023. I think those are earmarked for a quarterback until Jalen Hurts shows that he's definitively the guy.
Right.
But until that happens, those picks are earmarked for a quarterback, whether that be for a veteran in a trade or a rookie in the 2023 draft. So I don't think they'll use one of those. But if you second round pick and a player, I think Isaac Seumalo is a guy that maybe makes sense for the Bengals. They would fill a hole at left guard. But I mean, there's a lot of different ways that they could get a deal done with him if they were really interested. But of course, it would need, it takes two to tango on that. Obviously, when you're talking about, trading a player that, he's second team All-Pro in 2020. So this is a very good young player, and I think he'd make a lot of sense for the Eagles. But a lot easier said than done.
Certainly. Do you think we'll get a sense for Jonathan Gannon's scheme as the season gets closer? Like, will there actually be one, I guess, for all the pieces he has in this puzzle?
Yeah, again, they can't hide it during training camp. Like, we'll get a good idea of what they're running during practice. And then even during the preseason, we'll see what they're doing. Now, they may mix it up a lot more when we get into the regular season, but we're going to see what they're, we're going to get to see their odd man fronts. We'll get to see their even man fronts. We'll get an idea of what the defense will look like. We won't have the full scope of it, but again, they can't hide everything that they're going to do during training camp. So yeah, we'll get a better idea in August.
Good. I'm certainly looking forward to that. Overall, when it comes to the offseason, Howie Roseman with the draft, with trades to this point, free agency a little bit as well. I hate to go back to it, and I didn't refer to it as this, but it's the year that one former quarterback talked about something you do, like thinking while you're asleep. The thing you do when you think while you're asleep. That's kind of what this reminds me of, except I have a lot more faith in the guys that were acquired this offseason.
I'm sorry, what's the question? What's the question?
I have more optimism. Like the last time they built a team like this, something got said that forever jinxed.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm not going to say that thing.
Okay. Use the sleeping. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So now I look at this team and I go, wow, the last time I was this hyped about just winning an offseason was that time. But this feels a lot different than that time. Is it just revisionist history, I guess? Or is it a vote of confidence?
I never thought that the season was really that terrible of an idea. They brought in all these the reason it really didn't work was because it was the strike year too. So they didn't really have training camp, and they brought all these guys in literally as training camp was getting underway. You see Howie on the phone, and then like 15 minutes later, you'd be like, "Oh, they just signed another guy," and then that guy would show up at practice. It's like 2 days later. So they just didn't have a lot of time to gel. That team stunk like early in the year, but as like the season kind of went along, they got a lot better. So bringing in for a lot of free agents. It's worked for other teams. I think it could have worked for the Eagles that year, if not for the other circumstances that were sort of surrounding that whole thing.
Gotcha.
But, certainly they've made a lot of additions this year. And on paper, like you look at the offense, I think their offense is better than Dallas's. You look at the defense, I think on paper, I think their defense is better than Dallas's defense. I think it's clearly the best roster in the NFC East. I think it's a big disappointment if they don't win the NFC East with the talent they've assembled for this season. They got to get it done on the field. You look at this Dallas, and not to give Dallas too much credit here or whatever, but they've been the best team in the division for the last few years, and the Eagles are 2-6 against them since they've won the Super Bowl. One of those games they faced Ben DiNucci. Like, how do you not beat that guy? And they did beat him. And then another one of their wins was when Dak Prescott had a bad shoulder. I think that was at the end of the 2019 season, which ultimately helped the Eagles win in the division. So or maybe it was 20, whatever. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But I mean, the bottom line is they struggled against this team. That's sort of the team they're trying to catch in the division. And I think they're better on paper. Again, we'll see if they can actually get it done on the field.
Hey, I'm loving that paper right now, my friend. I'm loving that paper. Jimmy Kempski, it's been a minute since we talked to you, my man. Would you like to play the Farsi Five with us today?
Let's do it.
All right, my man. Let me just cue in the band. Where's the band at, guys? There we go. Man, haven't heard from you guys in a while. You're saying fantastic. All right, just calm it down a little bit here. Okay, here we go. Best job before your writing job. Jimmy Kempski, best job before your writing job.
I worked for Xerox that was my first job out of college. That was fun. We just went out and got hammered after every day of work.
Wait, what did you do? Like put together copy machines? Like what did you do?
I sold copy machines. And
oh, that's it. Oh, you sold them.
I sold them. Yeah.
Like you got the charm of a salesman, my friend. Go-to fast food place, Jimmy Kempski.
I avoid it like the plague these days because I'm getting chunky. But I guess if I were to go, I would probably go to Popeyes.
Ooh, that's 2 votes in a row for Popeyes. But good for you.
Oh yeah, Popeyes.
Hollis Thomas.
Oh no, okay. That's he knows food. I'm in good company on that one.
Yes, he does. Jimmy Kempski, first date deal breaker. First date deal breaker.
Bad breath.
Ooh, great one. Absolutely. Anytime that's happened in my dating days, I was like, all right. Bye. No, can't get that out of my head.
It's been a while.
Favorite city to travel to?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go. I'll go NFL city here, and I'm gonna go Phoenix, but only because Sedona is like an hour up the road, and I love it there.
Okay, fair enough. And last one for you, and I think I know the answer to this.
Okay.
Jimmy Kempski, what makes you beep your horn in traffic?
Oh, can I go really specific here?
Yeah, you can.
So on Church Road in Marlton, heading into Mount Laurel, where you turn right onto Route 73.
Yes.
There's the left, the left lane kind of. You turn right both of those lanes, but the right lane you can turn on red. And there's actually a new lane carved out on 73 to turn right onto. So the cars that are already on 73 going, they can't be in that lane. That lane is just wide open. It may as well just be a green light for that right lane. It may as well just be a green light at all times to just turn into that open lane. And I swear to God, every time I come up to that light, there's some car sitting there at the front, and it doesn't know they just don't know that there's a lane there, like just wide open for them to turn onto. It's right there. Just look at it. It's the cars that are coming. They can't be in that lane. They can't physically be in that lane. Turn into that lane and go. So it drives me insane that they don't turn on red at that light. And I'm sure it's not just all cars that they're just pulling up to that light for the first time ever. It's a light that is very clearly used by the same people over and over and over. And these same people pull up to the light and they just don't turn on red. And it drives me freaking insane. That is when I'm not a big horn user. It might be a little bit of a lie. But in those circumstances, I'll be like, come on, man. Beep, 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 beep. Come on. Go. What did you think it was going to be?
It was that.
It wasn't.
I know you have tweeted it before in the past, and I don't know what it was, but there's when I used to have to like this one way I would go to work, there was a similar type of situation, and I was like, this is the Kempski. They're pulling a Kempski, and not anti-Kempski, obviously, but in support of Kempski. When you said can I be specific on Church Road?
I got one more.
Go ahead.
This is more generic than the specific example that I just gave. But when you have if 2 lanes and one of them you can go straight only, and the other one you have the option to go straight or also turn right. It's when this lane is the one where you can go straight only. This one's empty. And this one also, the car pulls up and they're not turning right, but they pull into the one where people can go right, and they block off all the people behind them that could be turning right on red.
Yeah. They clog it up. They clog it up.
When there's a perfectly good lane right next to it where it's taking you to the same place. Get in that lane, not the one that people can turn. Get your ass out of the way and let people get on with their day.
Jimmy, all you
anxiety now.
all you want to do is make the world a better place, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Jimmy Kempski, make sure you read him. Philly Voice, phillyvoice.com. Follow him on Twitter, of course, at Jimmy Kempski. Jimmy, always great catching up with you guys. You can. Okay, thank you very much. They were piping hot today. Jimmy, great catching up with you as always. Read everything Jimmy's got. phillyvoice.com. Thanks, Jimmy Kempski.
See you, man.
Jimmy Kempski joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line.